you ready?
Welcome into our Trotter Road Hospitality Studios here at the Holiday Inn Express in Oxford. This is Hotty Toddy Hotline. I'm your host, Browning Stubbs, and we're back with Michael Snowden, a CRM Sports contributor. Michael, how's it going?
Doing well, Browning. How are you?
Good. Great to be here with you. And, Michael, we've got a full plate to discuss here on this week's Hotty Toddy Hotline. We got the Ole Miss baseball team. They're rocking and rolling. Had a slip-up over the weekend, had a tough loss to Tennessee. We're going to talk with Michael about that, plus spring football. The Ole Miss football team, they're back from spring break. Some of the players went to Haiti, and now they're back in the pads, and they're getting ready. What should be another great season.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. Going to be fun talking about it, too.
Yeah, and then it's not just Ole Miss football. That's been quite the topic around Oxford with the NCAA tournament. Yes, Ole Miss is not in the tournament, but some of their peers in the NCAA are, they've had us a pretty entertaining weekend.
I'd say so. I'd say so. This has been the best tournament I can remember. It's been fun. I'm stuck.
Had a lot of game winners, a lot of upsets. We'll talk about that as well. Plus, Ole Miss softball, they're opening into conference play, trying to get on the right track. So, got a big show for you. So, keep the TV on, turn your radio up. Let's get it going. You're watching Hotty Toddy Hotline.
Because you want more flavor, at Nuke's we marinate and grill to perfection. Because you want the latest culinary tastes and trends, we never rest. At Nuke's, great food drives us. So we are meticulous in our preparation, obsessed with the quality of our ingredients, and uncompromising about serving you our very best. We believe that sharing a memorable meal is one of life's ultimate pleasures. Join us at Nuke's Eatery.
And welcome back into Hotty Toddy Hotline. Browning Stubbs with Michael Snowden. All right, Michael, we'll start things off with the Ole Miss baseball team. Ole Miss baseball team, of course, started off this season extremely hot. We saw them win the series over number 2 Louisville. Got 2 out of 3 from them. Got another road ranked win over Coastal Carolina.
Yep.
And then they're playing a team in Tennessee, a team, kind of towards the bottom of the conference. But, winning on the road in the SEC is tough. But they took the series. And, I don't care if you play one of the worst teams. I think if you get 2 out of 3 on a road series in the SEC, you got to be feeling pretty good about yourself.
Oh, no doubt. It's your first series. You've had a lot of hype leading into the conference play. You as you said, you beat Louisville, which is very impressive. They're still in the top 3 at this point, Ole Miss being their only series loss as of right now. And you had some weaker opponents, too, in there. They played that classic and all that. But, now as we're getting into the meat part of the schedule, this is going to be a good test. And it looked well. The first game you're kind of like, 3-2 loss. Didn't look too good, but they bounced back. And they had an impressive 10-7 win in that third game to clinch the series. But no doubt, good way to at least get started in SEC play. Get ready for the big guys, Vanderbilt, Florida, all the rest.
Brady Bramlett pitched 5 2/3 innings, allowed 4 hits, 1 earned run. Wyatt Short ended up taking the loss in this one as he gave up a run in the bottom of the 9th that Tennessee ended up winning. J.B. Woodman went 2 for 3 in the game for the Rebels, but it wasn't enough. But the second game, they bounced back. Michael, the Ole Miss baseball team, really took it to the Volunteers in the second one, winning that one 6-4, and that was their first conference win of the season. And man, one guy that is kind of new from MUS, Michael Fitzsimmons, hit a 2-run home run in this baseball game, Michael, and it was another great performance from the bullpen. Brady Feigl, another redshirt freshman, would end up getting the win for the Rebels, even though Chad Smith did start the game. But Ole Miss had 3 runs in the second inning, 2 runs in the sixth inning, and then racked up 1 in the ninth. Tough win. I mean, you would say that they grinded it out. I mean, they gave up 10 hits, but it was really impressive to get that win.
Right. Oh yeah. No. I mean, it's again, as you said, hard fought. Good to see some of the younger guys play well, though. I mean, the redshirt freshman, what was it, Simmons? Fitzsimmons?
Michael Fitzsimmons.
Michael Fitzsimmons out of MUS. I mean, he's coming, being a young guy coming in and being able to help your team in this way. It shows courage, shows prominence, the way he can lead. And I guess everything's rubbing off on everybody. So, it's great to see what they're doing. I mean, Ole Miss baseball, baseball's not a major sport. College baseball isn't a major sport in America, which is unfortunate. Basketball, is. Football is. But, this is a good team. I mean, people are not paying attention to this team, and we'll have to see what happens when the rest of the rankings come out, and once they play some really, big SEC foes. They did well against them last year. Let's see if they can do it this year. Consistency is what they lacked last year. Let's see if they can get that this year.
They win the third one 10-7. Another freshman, Andy Pagnazzi, pitches in relief for Sean Johnson. Big win for Ole Miss to get that one. And we see, Rebels in the rankings, they moved up as high as number 6 in the collegiate baseball poll. They're 7th in Baseball America, 8th in D1 Baseball, 9th in Perfect Game, and 9th in USA Today. Most people would say baseball is the number 2 sport at Ole Miss.
True.
But, man, when you got – just really what a year Ole Miss athletics is really shaping out to be.
Yep.
The football team finished in the top 10, won the Sugar Bowl. The basketball team, though they didn't make the postseason, they did open up a new arena and had some good moments there. Baseball team, they're number 6 in the country. Ole Miss athletics is heading in the right direction.
The new normal. That's what people are trying to say. It's very impressive. Basketball, we've never been a basketball school. And despite that, Randy Kennedy this year set the record for Ole Miss history, 8th 20-win season. Before he came along, we had 7. So, that's impressive. But, obviously we know what the football did and what baseball's doing. And, hopefully this team's got a run to Omaha in them. That'd be fantastic to see. That's a long way off, but I think that's a good point you made about baseball being the number 2 sport here. It's just that kind of feel, and it's better. Ranking wise, they've proven themselves. Went to Omaha about 2 years ago, and they're continuing their very solid play. So looking forward to it. Basketball, hopefully, they're going to have some new faces next year, but hopefully they'll get going in the right direction as well.
Ole Miss baseball this week, they are taking on UT Martin. That one's on Tuesday, 11 a.m. first pitch at Swayze Field. But then Ole Miss plays a really tough game or series against South Carolina over the weekend. South Carolina is a very good baseball team. So Ole Miss has a challenge there.
No doubt. South Carolina will be another foe. It's an SEC opponent, so that's big. You gotta go get that one. And again, you haven't lost a series this year, so that's let's see how that keeps going. I'm looking forward to it. Should be a very exciting matchup. Hopefully high scoring, but we'll have to see what happens with the pitching.
Yeah, your 2 starting pitchers, didn't really get a win. You had to have guys in relief come in to do it for you, but a win is a win, and Ole Miss will definitely take that. But yeah, it's a really good time to be an Ole Miss baseball fan, Michael. We see
it is.
Number 6 in the country, and really last year's team, they lost a lot of games, like these midweek games against random teams, but then they would beat Florida or Vanderbilt, teams like that. So it's weird. But yeah, so like I said, South Carolina, they are ranked 13th in the country, their next opponent. So hopefully you get 2 out of 3. You could say we'll go for the sweep, but when you're playing a top 25 team in the SEC, I just think you just want to do what it takes to win the series.
Right. No doubt. There's 6 teams in the top 15 of the college poll from the SEC. That's going to be. You're not going to go out there and win them all. It's a very competitive conference, but mostly what you want to see is how do they respond to runs that are made, the switches and all of that. But it's going to be exciting. I think the Rebs. I mean, they've got all the momentum right now. I mean, before the season started, they were talking about how good we were going to be, and honestly, I don't think anybody really saw a 19-2 start. I mean, honestly, I didn't hear anything about people saying that. Maybe the players believed, but they had to go out there and show it to us, and they are showing us a number 6 team in the land. See how long they can keep it going.
Florida Gators are number 1 in the country, 21-1. Texas A&M is 4th at 18-2. Vanderbilt, they're 17-3, number 8. Mississippi State, they're 11th. South Carolina is 13th. And Alabama's 22nd. And then Kentucky, the top 30, they're 28. I mean, that's over half the
just
conference.
Ahead of Dallas Baptist. 29.
They check in at 29.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
J.B. Woodman, just to give you guys some tips for the road, is the leading hitter for the Rebels, batting .342, and leads the team in hits with 25 and home runs as well, as he has 4 home runs. Also 21 RBIs for J.B. Woodman. So J.B. Woodman is killing it this year. Henry Lartigue is the catcher. He's really fitting in well. His first year as a starter and everything, batting .339. He's really, really folding well for us tonight.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, this team is playing with they're playing with really great chemistry. It's great to see how this team has come together. They need to move the ball. They pass it well. I mean, it's just thrown well. It's just great to see this team go out there and play well. Other guys stepping up. Obviously we know what Earl Robinson's going to give you night in and night out, but it's a team game. Mm-hmm. Everybody's stepping up. Great to watch right now.
Ole Miss baseball, very successful in the season. They are 19-2. All right, coming up, spring football. We're talking Ole Miss football when we come back on Hotty Toddy Hotline. Welcome back into Hotty Toddy Hotline. We're broadcasting this week's show from the Holiday Inn Express in Oxford on Browning Stubbs with Michael Snowden. All right, Michael, so let's talk spring football. Before spring break, we heard that Jeremy Liggins, the guy who's played a little tight end, played a little quarterback, but he's officially moving to the offensive line, and that's interesting because he's a senior now, and I think it's good he's finally got his position because look, the writing was on the wall. He was never going to be a quarterback, and honestly, he's a little too heavy, maybe not fast enough to be a tight end. But if the way he's been working on his frame, there's potential for him to be a really dominant offensive tackle. Offensive tackle was a big question mark. Losing Laramie Tunsil, losing Fawn Cooper. So there's, you got to fill that position. And, with guys like Greg Little coming in, you need to have some veterans there. And I think with Jeremy Liggins there to join Javon Patterson, Rod Taylor, Robert Conyers, and then, I think you got Sean Rawlings. I forgot to mention him. It seems like the offensive line is shaking out pretty nicely.
I think it'll be better than people expect. I mean, obviously this is the as far as depth and maybe talent goes, probably the weaker spot for the Rebels. I think running backs increase now to the point where we can say it's O-line. But, I mean, a lot of it's young. Jeremy Liggins, he's got the body for it, as you said. I mean, he's a little big. But I think, in the offseason, I think they're going to make sure that they get him in O-line shape. But, I mean, at this point, you just need bodies for that area. And I think Liggins can do well. I mean, that's this position that fits him best. As you said, I don't really see him being a quarterback. I mean, that play worked here and there. It worked as a trick play against Alabama. Handed off to Jordan Wilkins. But, hopefully some consistency can go along with Liggins. It would be great to see for him.
Ole Miss, they were actually – there's a tweet that I saw on Twitter from a guy named Phil Steele. He is an ESPN college football insider. He ranks Ole Miss's strength of schedule 3rd in the country from opponents record from last year. So tough schedule ahead for Ole Miss. They're getting into spring practice, trying to get better and work. But some other things, some other good news. Isaac Gross, the defensive lineman, he's
the leader.
He's healing.
Good.
And I thought the team really missed him. Definitely in some of those, the Arkansas game for sure.
I think that game would have been ended much differently if Gross were out there. I bet that being on the sideline all season, if there was one game Gross could go in, even over Bama, I bet he would have gone in for Arkansas because he would have been the guy that would have said, let's go get this. Let's go get our goal. Gross has been the backbone of this. Technically the backbone. I mean, obviously you got your talent all the way around the board, but people don't realize this is Isaac Gross' 5th year. It's going to be his 5th year with the program. He's been here for a long time. He started from the bottom where this program was with you, and now they're finally where they want to be. But it'll be good to see him lead. It'll be good to have him back for another year. I mean, obviously it's painful we didn't have him last year, but good to have him this year.
The MRI results and tests are showing he's healing correctly and getting into the proper playing shape. And it seems like they're going to let him get through the summer and have him as much time so he can be totally healed.
Don't want to take a chance with the neck.
We did see that with Laramie.
Mm-hmm.
When he had the leg injury, they let him kind of sit out the spring and the summer.
Yeah.
And when he finally played in October, he looked great.
7 games later.
But there was optimism that if he wasn't suspended, he would have looked great come September. So you hope Isaac Gross will be the same.
Yeah, no, I think Isaac's fine. I mean, Isaac seems like the kind of guy. I mean, even if you look at him on Twitter, he's got a private account. So you got to request follow him. Isaac's that kind of guy. He's focused. He's humble. He knows what to do, what he needs to do. He's going to be mature. As we said, he's one of the older guys. He's a leader. He's going to go out there and show it. And I think if his hard work will reflect on the younger guys, so that will be that's very crucial. I think Isaac, giving him his time, I think he'll be fine.
And you mentioned earlier, you talked about another weak position, possibly running back.
Yep.
You lose Jalen Walton, but honestly, we're year 5 in the Hugh Freeze?
Yes.
And he's never just had that dominant running back. And honestly, Jalen Walton could run outside, but he just wasn't a good in between the tackles guy.
Not at all.
We saw it in the same game against Mississippi State.
Right.
Akeem Judd, Jordan Wilkins got through the holes, ran over multiple guys. So we've seen the potential there. But I will say this about Wilkins, and I'm sure you can attest to this, Michael.
Right.
Senior year at St. Benedict, the guy tears his ACL. Jordan Wilkins was, prior to that game, one of the most gifted football players I've ever seen, because I was watching him when he was a little kid playing for St. Francis, just in 6th, 7th grade. I mean, I knew he was going to be good. I mean, yes, St. Benedict didn't play a lot of great teams in high school, except when they played MUS, Christian Road, all that stuff. But he had games where he was getting 500 all-purpose yards, all that stuff. But I feel like that injury just really slowed him down. I don't know if he'll be the starter. He showed some spurts of being as successful as SEC back, but I just think with Akeem Judd, 225, I think his size.
Akeem is
but
runner.
Do you see Freeze kind of saying, hey, Akeem, this is your team, Jordan, this is your team, and I'm going to give you 20-plus carries a game, or is it going to be a committee again?
I think it's going to be 2 guys and maybe a little bit of Devontae Penniman and Eric Swinney, but not much of them. Penniman, obviously, because he's a 4-star athlete. So, I mean, you got to get him in there a little bit. But honestly, I mean, with all due respect to Jalen Walton, love him, great player. He wasn't a dominant running back. No one, not very few defenses said, "Oh no, here comes Jalen Walton." Like that they weren't terrified. Akeem Judd's different. He's got a big body frame, and there were points last year where he would take it 5, 6, 7 yards, even 8 maybe. And I was thinking, why don't we play this guy more? I mean, he's physically intimidating. He's got the speed. He's got the power. It's great to watch. And Jordan Wilkins, as we said, he's the thinner type, but he's still just majorly athletic. I mean, you know, when you play basketball at the Turner Center against these guys, you get an appreciation. They're not even out there trying, but you know, I think they're going to be the top two guys this year. I think the running game will pick up, but again, a lot of that depends on the O-line. I think Greg Little and all those guys will keep it stable. But again, the main threat, as we all know, will be the pass attack. But if Hakeem Judd, if he can get going, watch out. He's a talented back.
Yeah, so Ole Miss, you know, we've talked about the O-line. Running back, you know, those are probably two of the biggest areas of concern. Another one is linebacker.
Yes.
You know, how do you see that shaping out?
It's going to be I can tell you this, come, what is it, October or September we play Bama this year? September?
Late September.
That's where Nick Saban is going to say, go. There's going to be some, you know, that's the one place we can't have an injury. I mean, and it's really unfortunate, too, because Ole Miss thought they had a new guy coming in, David Lustafaga. You know, he was saying, oh, yeah, I'm committing, and then bam, last day. Oh, I'm going to Utah. So it's like, okay, thanks, man. So we do go out and get the guy from Oregon State. We got a couple of guys that will have to switch positions. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be terrible, but it is going to be a weaker part for sure. So that's what teams are going to go for. They know there's a weakness there on the defensive side with the linebackers. So it's going to be a challenge. It definitely will be. But we'll see. Hugh Freeze, he's got some tricks. So we'll see what happens with that.
Wide receiver, you know,
Stellar.
The strongest. You know, we don't really need to talk about that.
No.
But yeah, I mean, there's you know, it's going to be interesting. I guess the storyline's the backup quarterback. Will it be Jason Pellerin, Drew Davis, Shea Patterson?
Shea Patterson, done. It's Shea Patterson. I mean, this guy. Ole Miss fans, be ready in the future.
I was hoping they were going to redshirt him, but it doesn't look like it.
You got to get him a little bit. I mean, even if you redshirt him, he's probably, well, I don't know. I can't attest for him personally. But, I mean, I think once Chad's gone next year, we see Shea on the field, I think we're going to – he's dual threat. We're going to see some fun moments with Shea. I think 2018 is going to be a great year for Ole Miss.
I agree, Michael. All right, well, that wraps up our spring football discussion. Coming up, we're going to talk some NCAA tournament. We'll be right back.
Hey, Rebels, your truck is here. Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Oxford presents the all-new Ram Rebel. It's Ram, the Rebel way. Send an unmistakable signal. Rebel 24/7. Ram Rebel from your friend in the car business. Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Oxford.
Come by, let's be friends.
Welcome back to Hotty Hotline. Browning Stubbs with Michael Snowden at the Holiday Inn Express in Oxford. All right, well, we're going to spend, yes, this is an Ole Miss sports show, but a lot of you guys are watching the NCAA tournament. And can't remember a year where we saw so many upsets, so many just nail-biting games. And, Michael, the first weekend's over. We got the Sweet 16 set. I mean, some of my favorite games to watch. I mean, I just couldn't believe that Yale beat Baylor.
I called that one.
Northern Iowa won on a half-court shot against Texas. USC just gave the game away on free throws. Stephen F. Austin blew out West Virginia. It was a good round of 64. Sweet 16. I mean, this was just Sunday night where you had Wisconsin win on a game-winning 3. Mm-hmm. You had, and I feel so bad for Northern Iowa. As a Memphian, I've had some sports heartbreak. I've had the Memphis Tigers lost in the title game to Kansas with a 9-point lead with 2 minutes left. I had the Grizzlies blow a 27-point lead to the Clippers. But now I don't feel so bad because I know a team has, I don't want to say the C word for college athletes, but they gave away a game.
No, they.
I'll say worst I've ever seen.
I'll say it for you. They choked. They did. I mean, that was. I hate to say that way, but I mean it's true. I mean that you have the broadcasters were like, okay, yeah, it's over, all right, and then there's not. I guess the only thing you can say is Texas A&M's athletes and defense were just so much better than Northern Iowa's. They just forced them into all the turnovers. It was just terrible.
Never throw the ball in the corner.
Well, it's basic things. I mean, it's just terrible offensive basketball. A&M just stole that one. I mean, they did not come back. They were handed a plate full of food and said, eat. That's what they did. But, I mean, and another quick note on that game, I found it hilarious when Jasperson, the guy who hit the half-court shot originally, at the end of the overtime with 5 seconds left, heaves up another half-court shot, misses it off the backboard, and the broadcaster goes, are you kidding me? Like, did he shoot it or
That's
is it
right.
about to go in?
There were like 4 seconds left.
Yeah, he shot, and then
Why
Texas.
did he do that?
Confidence. Steph Curry would have done it, so he thought he could do it. But and it was funny because Texas was that close to hitting an even longer shot. That was probably, a 70-footer. That dude missed it by that much. But, and I think, as we said, Yale was just an incredible win. But real quick, Middle Tennessee State. All right, they did not upset Michigan State. They beat Michigan State. Michigan State was playing. Middleton, it's not like they showed up, they missed shots. Middle Tennessee State responded. Michigan State made several different runs, and as you're sitting there watching this, you're thinking, okay, they're going to come back. It's Michigan State, it's Tom Izzo. Middle Tennessee State kept coming, kept hitting the 3-ball, sadly fell to Syracuse, and now they're in the Sweet 16, which people said they shouldn't even be in to begin with, but here they are, taking on Gonzaga, possibly an Elite Eight berth. But just a wild weekend of college basketball. Probably the most fun that I can remember as far as the first 2 rounds go. Really looking forward to the Sweet 16.
Yeah. Starting Thursday, Sweet 16 Friday as well. Elite Eight will be Saturday and Sunday. We were talking to SEC. If A&M had lost, what's the broadcasters like? They were saying, in A&M, with them losing, it's going to be the first time since 2009 we haven't had an SEC team in the Sweet 16.
My favorite tweet was yours.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I tweeted.
Sorry, SEC fans, no A&M in the Sweet 16 this year. And then, oh man,
and I was wrong. But so in the South region, Kansas, Maryland, Miami, Villanova. I think Kansas will take care of Maryland. But Miami Villanova will be a tough one. I think
a good game athletically. Villanova's very well coached. Miami is too. But the thing about Miami, they're an up and down team. And if Villanova's up, I don't know if Miami can come back. It's going to be because Villanova plays sound basketball. I'm interested in the Kansas-Villanova matchup this year.
Yeah, I think Kansas will take it. Now, moving on to the West, Oregon, Duke, A&M, Oklahoma. You got some good matchups.
Oh yes.
In this one, Oregon and Duke. Duke is a team really hadn't played all that impressive, really, but they have 7 guys. They're very thin, but I think Duke's experience.
Never underestimate the heart of a champion.
Yeah, exactly. But Buddy Hield scoring 29 of his team's 35 second half.
I think he had 35. I think he had 35 in the game.
Yeah.
Against
I think Oklahoma and Buddy Hield are coming out of the West.
I think A&M will go out of the West, possibly. I believe they have a chance. I think Duke beats Oregon though. I think coaching just outdoes Oregon there. Duke's just such a sound team. But I'm going to give it to Duke. I'm going to say they get to the Final Four. I think they have a good bracket ahead of them.
Yeah, I had flipped my bracket the last second. I put Oklahoma over Duke, but I did have Duke before.
Right.
In the East, North Carolina, Indiana, Notre Dame, Wisconsin. Kind of a boring matchup there.
Don't count out Indiana. Don't count out Indiana because everybody's been doing that.
Right.
And I made that mistake in my bracket. I thought, they lost in the first round of the Big Ten to Michigan. Look at how they've responded. I mean, and they can go head-to-head with UNC. If the UNC's point guard is not scoring consistently, Indiana's going to go. They're going to take care of that. And the Notre Dame-Wisconsin came down to 2 game winners for both teams. I think that one's going to come down to the last shot, too. I think it will.
Got UNC out of that one. Now in the Midwest, Virginia, Iowa State, and Gonzaga, Syracuse. I think both those will be pretty good games. I think Virginia will get past Iowa State and get Gonzaga. They're a scary team.
They are, and that's a crazy. I mean, I think Virginia will too. Dad's alma mater, so I'm gonna pull for UVA. But Gonzaga, Syracuse. That's who predicted this Sweet 16 matchup. Props to anyone out there who did. But I mean, that's a fun game. I'm gonna take Syracuse just because of Jim Boeheim. I mean, Gonzaga's playing great ball, but Syracuse is just basically saying ha-ha to everybody who said no. So I think it's gonna be Syracuse and UVA for the chance to the 4-4.
crazy March Madness. It's going to be fun. Sweet 16 starting on Thursday, and then Elite 8 will start Saturday. All right, well, we'll stick with basketball, but we're going to focus more on Ole Miss and what's coming up for the future of the Ole Miss Rebels. Stay with us on Hotty Toddy Hotline. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Hotty Toddy Hotline. I'm Browning Stubbs with Michael Snowden. All right, Michael, so on last week's Hotty Toddy Hotline, John Rawl and Steve Vasallo talked about the game against Alabama, Ole Miss falling to the Crimson Tide. Mm-hmm. But it's, it was really disappointing that Ole Miss couldn't have one more game to see 42 play again.
Right. It is.
Now, before we talk about the future of the team, Moody, we've seen these little guys, Michael, Isaiah Thomas in the NBA with the Celtics, averaging 22 points per game this season. Some of these little guys can make it. Now, will he get drafted? I don't know. He's not being projected to get drafted. Could be a D-League guy and work his way up. Like, for example, our hometown team, the Memphis Grizzlies, they're picking up dudes we never even heard of. So
I bet you they'd pick up Stephon if he were eligible. I guarantee it. The way he scores the ball, they'd say, hey, just give it. Let's give you a chance.
So do you agree with me that he won't be drafted, but he could be a guy that might?
I think if he's drafted, it's very late in the second round. And again, it's not because of his inability to score. It's not because he makes bad decisions with the ball. It's just because of his size. I mean, he's strong, but he's just short. But then again, there are players who have been able to overcome their height. Spud Webb, just for example, Muggsy Bogues. There's been people. And Stephon can shoot the ball. And see, I do give Stephon a chance. I think he could really excel in Europe. I really do. I think if you put him in the right team in Europe, does he want to do that? We don't know. But if he could be a bona fide star in Europe, no doubt.
Moody made the All-SEC first team this year. But there's a guy, Michael, who, I've spoken to people with inside Ole Miss basketball. They tell me that in practices, this guy DeAndre Burnett from Miami,
yes,
outduels Moody in practice. And he's a little bit bigger, 6'2", 194. He comes from he used to play at Miami. He averaged 7 points in 17 minutes 2 years ago for the Hurricanes. But man, he's looking pretty good. I see him as a starting guard next year.
Oh, no doubt. You're losing Moody. That's, people were, it kind of reminds me of last year, or excuse me, not last year, 2 years ago, and people were like, oh no, Henderson's gone. What are we going to do? And out of nowhere here comes Stephon Moody. Well, who's taking the torch next? Guess it's this guy, DeAndre Burnett. If he's out playing Moody on the practice courts, let's see what happens in the games. I'm looking forward to seeing him.
You lose Perez, but that's no big deal. You lose
Saiz.
No,
is he a junior?
He's a junior.
Junior, okay.
But you lose Martavius Newby, who was good defensively, but a liability on offense.
Right.
If I'm a coach, I'm a recruiter. I don't really like guys who are one-way players. I kind of like guys who can do it all.
Tell that to Tony Allen. Just throw that out there.
But I must add, with the injuries that the Grizzlies have had, Tony Allen is scoring more.
Yeah, he is hitting threes.
But I kind of see a guy like Dante Fitzpatrick-Dorsey being a younger Martavius Newby.
And he showed good signs. I liked it when he played. He a little hurried sometimes, obviously, but you're a freshman. That's going to happen. But I think he's got some potential. I really do.
Marcamus Hyman showed some great signs when Saiz was out.
He did. He stepped up, especially in that game against State. Ole Miss was right there for a little while, but just couldn't close the gap at the end on the road.
And Rasheed Brooks can make shots, but he's really inconsistent.
Yeah. It's. Next year, I'm not going to say they're going to. They could win 20 games. It's going to be a different outlook next year. It's going to be interesting to see if Andy Kennedy goes for another JUCO guy. He seemed to work with Henderson and Moody. But if not, I think it's going to be kind of a so-so year. But we'll see what happens.
Tomas Cielo graduated as well. It really would have been nice to have one more year with him because he really should.
Yeah.
his last 10 to 12 games, he was in double digits every
Yeah,
game.
he was playing well. I mean, he can shoot the ball. He was aggressive. Pretty good player all around. Unfortunate you can't have him for one more year, but that's just how things are, sadly.
One of the most disappointing parts of this season was going into the season. The big question was, how do you replace Jarvis Summers? And Ole Miss thought they had two guys that could have done that with Sam Finley and JT Escobar. But it was disappointing that not one of those guys was even in the freaking rotation by the end of the year.
What coach wants, coach gets, and that's what happened. But hey, I mean, Ole Miss got a 20-win season. Probably should have had 2 or 3 more wins, bearing injury, especially South Carolina. But I think they'll work their way in next year for sure into the rotation.
My way too early starting 5, I would say point guard. You're going to see Fitzpatrick Dorsey. The other guard, you're going to see DeAndre Burnett. You're going to see Rasheed Brooks, and then your big guys are going to be Marcanvis Hyman will be starting, and then Sebastian Saiz. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Saiz is going to be carrying a lot of the load next year for him. I mean, it's if there's not going to be a bona fide star, if DeAndre Burnett isn't the next Moody, it's going to be a lot on Saiz's back. I mean, he plays well, but how much can he give you is going to be very interesting to see.
And there will be some transfers that we'll have more to update you guys later. But there's Terry Brutus just still has one more year. I feel like the guy's been here forever.
One more year.
Oh my gosh. So hopefully you'll have Terry Brutus in the rotation. Hopefully you'll have Terrence Davis. He's a really big guard. Hopefully he'll be in the rotation as well. And so you just gotta, for Ole Miss to do well, you gotta have elite scorer. Hopefully Burnett will be that guy. We will find out.
We will.
All right. Well, that wraps up our Ole Miss basketball discussion. And it would have been nice to see them in the NCAA tournament because there were so many upsets.
You never know. Last year, sadly, didn't go our way. Well, in the first round, but it happens.
Coming up, we're going to wrap up the show in Hotty Toddy Hotline. We'll tell you what's coming up this week for Ole Miss athletics. Keep it here. Turn your radio up. Keep the TV on. We'll be right back.
Because you want more flavor, at Nuke's we marinate and grill to perfection. Because you want the latest culinary tastes and trends, we never rest. At Nuke's, great food drives us. So we are meticulous in our preparation, obsessed with the quality of our ingredients, and uncompromising about serving you our very best. We believe that sharing a memorable meal is one of life's ultimate pleasures. Join us at Nuke's Eatery.
Welcome back into Hotty Toddy Hotline. I'm Browning Stubbs with Michael Snowden on the show this week. We want to thank our partners, Charter Road Hospitality, for making this show happen. We're broadcasting this week from the Holiday Inn Express, located at 112 Heritage Drive. Call them 662-236-2500. And right down the hill is the Hampton Inn of Oxford. Call them 1-662-513-0340, located at 110 Heritage Drive. Of course, you go over to the Oxford Conference Center, you'll find another Hampton Inn, 103 Ed Perry Boulevard. Call them 662-234-5535, as well as the Town Place Suites at 105 Ed Perry Boulevard, 662-238-3522.
Nice and cozy place in here.
Yeah, and Michael, there's a lot of events in Oxford coming up with home weekends at Swayze Field. You got double-decker, you got graduation, so you want to get your rooms fast.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, guess graduation is a big one. I mean, there's going to be people coming in all over. You're going to want to get your room booked for that weekend or that week, whatever you got to do. Could be your last experience in Oxford for a while. Make sure you know where you're going.
These properties offer continental breakfast in the morning for free. You can get your bagels, eggs, yogurt, orange juice, coffee for free. You name it, that's Charter Road Hospitality. And so get your rooms fast. Hotty Toddy Hotline is on Twitter at Hotty Toddy Hotline, on Facebook at Hotty Toddy Hotline. The toll-free number is 1-800-621-0042 if you want to call and talk with me, talk with Michael. We'll be happy to answer your questions. So Ole Miss softball over the weekend, Michael, they lost a series against Kentucky, who is the number 13 team in the country. Won the first one, but then lost the next two. So in the season, the Rebels are 24-7, but 2-4 in the conference. Now, last year, Michael, kind of a similar start. We saw before conference play, Ole Miss had been winning a lot of their non-conference games.
Yeah.
But then, so, they started 13-5 last year before the non-conference started. And then they ended up just doing really bad in conference play as they finished 6-18. You got to hope this year they use that experience from last year and try not to lose that.
SEC is a tough conference to play softball in. It's not going to be easy for them, but not saying impossible, but it's a challenge. They can. I think this team's going to be better this year. You're already looking at a 24-7 record. They've protected the home field 14-2, 6-1 in the neutral site games. This team's got a good chance. I like what they've got going in the rotation. The young pitchers they brought in. It's a solid team. I think they're going to do well in the SEC. They may not win the SEC, but I think they'll compete for it.
Ole Miss tennis, they're 7-6 on the year. They're struggling a little bit, but they are back in action as they'll play Arkansas on March 27th. That's coming up.
Got off to a hot start, but recently it's been a struggle with 3 straight losses, 4 out of your last 5. But they started out very well, but conference play has not been good to Ole Miss so far.
The men's golf team, they are getting ready for more tournaments coming up. And then, of course, the Ole Miss women's golf team, they actually are going to have a tournament that's going to be in Ole Miss, the Rebel Intercollegiate, starting April 1st through April 3rd.
Should be a beautiful, beautiful day for a tournament. Go out there and support your Rebs if you can. Beautiful April afternoon.
All right. Well, and then, of course, Ole Miss baseball plays plays Tuesday against UT Martin, and then has the weekend series against South Carolina starting on Friday as they'll take on the Gamecocks 6:30. First pitch, Saturday's game 6:30, and then Sunday matinee at 2 o'clock. Michael, any last words on the show?
Been a fun day. Keep watching that March Madness and go Rebs.
It's been a fun week. We talked the NCAA tournament, Ole Miss basketball. We talked spring football practice and talked Ole Miss baseball. We'll be back next week on Hotty Toddy Hotline. And for our executive producer, John Brawl, you've been listening to Hotty Toddy Hotline, a production of CRM Sports on the Colonel Reb Radio Network. Thank you, and we will see you guys next week.